I once thought early retirement was a well-deserved reward after so many years of contribution. No more waking up early for work, no more deadlines, no more pressure from a boss. I retired at 60, and the first few days were amazing. Morning tea, gardening, reading, and friends congratulating me for crossing the finish line early. But just a few weeks later, I'd find myself sitting for hours, not remembering what I had just done. My mind was foggy, with no motivation left. Every morning I'd wake up not knowing my purpose. Every night I'd ask myself, did I do anything useful today? Then the feeling of emptiness arrived. Silent, yet truly terrifying. No one ever told me that early retirement also has a downside. That prolonged idleness can erode your spirit, leaving a once healthy person feeling confused, lonely, and directionless. Without thorough preparation, the retirement dream can become a silent crisis. In this video, I will share 5 hard truths, but extremely important ones, about life after retirement, especially for those over 60. These are the things I wish I had known before making my decision. If you are considering retirement or have already retired and are feeling empty, this video is for you. Stay until the end to avoid the pitfalls that many people, including myself, have experienced. Let's get started. Truth number 1. A lack of purpose makes life feel empty. You might think that when you retire, you will live as you wish, doing whatever you want, not bound by a clock or a job. But that very total freedom, without clear goals, becomes a huge void, pulling you into an emptiness you were never prepared for. I was once very excited about the idea of retiring early, not because I was tired of working, but because I believed I deserved a rest after so many years of hard work. Yet just a few months later, I started feeling lost. There were no meetings to prepare for. No one needed me every morning. No one asked, "What are you working on these days?" Because my answer was always, "I'm free." People often say that doing nothing is happiness. But in reality, human beings, especially older adults, need to feel useful. When you no longer have a clear purpose or a specific role, you begin to doubt your self-worth. And that is when your mood declines, joy fades, and time suddenly feels incredibly long and meaningless. Joe, a 67-year-old from Colorado, is an early retired engineer. For the first 3 months, he went fishing, tended his garden, and read books. But then one day he confessed to me, "I don't know what I wake up for anymore. I've accomplished everything I ever dreamed of, and now I have nothing left to strive for." That is the subtle trap of lacking purpose. It comes on slowly, without causing pain, but gradually gnaws away at your inner strength. And you will start to feel, "It seems I'm living without truly being alive." If you have retired or are about to, ask yourself, what am I waking up for tomorrow? If you don't have an answer, start with small goals. Care for a plant, learn a new skill, help the community, mentor a young person, or write your life's memoir. A life with nothing to do can be comfortable, but a life with no goal to aim for will gradually make your heart grow cold. Retirement is not the end, it is just a fork in the road. And if you don't reorient your path, you will stand at that crossroads forever, watching time pass by, not knowing where you are going. So start with this simple question. What do I want to live for each day, starting today? Then let that answer guide you back to a meaningful life, even though you are no longer working. Truth number 2. Finances are not enough for long-term costs. When I retired early, I kept thinking, I have saved enough, no need to worry anymore. I had a stable retirement fund, a paid-off house, and no debt. But what I did not anticipate was time lasting longer than I thought, and costs rising faster than I prepared for. You might have heard someone say, "I'll just live simply, without spending much." It sounds right, but the reality of old age is not that simple. Medical expenses start to increase gradually. One checkup, a new prescription, a sleep assist machine, and then there is physical therapy or hiring help a few times a week. It's not because you want to spend, but because your body starts needing support. On top of that, inflation silently erodes the money you once thought was sufficient. Small expenses like groceries, utilities, insurance, and dental care all increase every year. Meanwhile, your income does not increase. Because you have stopped earning. Mark, a 68-year-old from Michigan, retired at 60 with over $500,000 in savings. He lived simply, but by 67, he started dipping into his cash more due to some heart and eye complications. I thought I could live comfortably for life. Now I just wish I hadn't retired so early to keep my better company insurance, he told me with a sad smile. What I learned is you cannot calculate retirement expenses like a simple math problem. Because the longer you live, the more you need to prepare for things you never thought of. You can try a self-check. Have you budgeted for at least 25 years post-retirement? Do you have a plan B for a long hospital stay? Do you have a contingency fund for unforeseen events like home repairs, helping children, or losing a portion of your investment income? Retirement is a long journey, it's not a short vacation. And the most regrettable thing is when you realize you are still alive, still sharp, but lack the finances to live proactively. If you have not retired, consider working a few more years, not just to earn more money, but to extend your accumulation period and maintain better health insurance. If you have retired, review your spending, rebalance your habits, and do not be afraid to create a small income stream to keep your finances secure. Because the feeling of having to watch every penny in retirement is a feeling that strips you of the most precious piece of old age. Truth number 3, loneliness from losing the work environment. When I was still working, walking into the office each morning was a familiar world. Greetings from the hallway, short conversations by the coffee machine, the Monday morning meeting, a colleague's smile when a project was completed. I did not know that all those seemingly small things were what nurtured my spirit every single day. Then when I retired, the silence began to spread. No more emails needing a reply. No one asking, "How are you doing today?" No one waiting for me in a meeting. The first few days I thought, this is so relaxing. But after a while I started to feel empty. In truth, many people do not realize that the workplace is not just a place to earn a living. It is also a place that creates social connections, a sense of belonging, and the joy of camaraderie. When you retire, those connections disappear faster than you think. Friends from your profession are busy with their own jobs. Gatherings become less frequent, and you start to feel as if you are drifting away from the world's orbit. Henry, age 70, was an engineering manager. After retiring, he spent his time golfing and reading books. But then he confided, "I don't miss the work. I miss the team. I miss being trusted, being asked for my opinion, being asked for help. Now my phone is silent all day." Loneliness in old age is not about having no family, but about losing the daily rhythm of connection that work once provided. And if you do not find a replacement, the feeling of being left behind will gradually wear down your spirit, making you hesitant to socialize, withdrawn, and sometimes fall into a state of causeless sadness. If you are preparing to retire, plan ahead to maintain your social connections. It could be joining a club, volunteering, teaching a skill you once had, or simply meeting a friend every week to chat. If you have already retired, be brave and reach out first, because many others are also waiting for someone to take the initiative. You can ask yourself, this week, who did you laugh with? Did you tell a story, share something, or listen to someone? If not, you might be missing a very important part of keeping your soul healthy. Retiring does not mean you are no longer valuable, but to maintain the feeling that you are still present, you need to proactively rebuild those bridges of connection instead of watching them collapse day by day. Because sometimes what makes us feel lost is not the lack of loved ones, but the lack of a listening ear, a familiar voice, or simply a well-timed good morning. If you are still watching and finding this helpful, drop a number 3 in the comments below to let me know. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I really encourage you to hit that follow button and ring the bell so you don't miss new videos. Your support helps us continue creating more helpful and inspiring content. Truth number 4, mental health declines from inactivity. People often talk about old age illnesses with words like blood pressure, cardiovascular, or joint problems. But there is something else that silently weakens and is just as dangerous, and that is mental health. After retiring, you may no longer rush every morning, no longer worry about meetings or deadlines. But when that hustle disappears, what is left is a lot of empty time. And if no activity fills that space, the mind begins to drift into a state of stagnation, dwelling on the past, feeling sad for no reason, having trouble sleeping, difficulty concentrating, and sometimes losing interest in today. I used to think retirement would make me more relaxed, but the reality was the opposite. I found myself more anxious. A negative news story on TV would weigh on me all day. A missed call from my kids would send my mind racing. And with nothing to do, my mind would just find things to worry about. A psychologist once told me something that startled me. The mind is like the body. If it's not exercised daily, it will weaken. A seemingly simple statement, but it accurately reflects the situation for so many people after they retire. Thomas, a 69-year-old from Seattle, is a case in point. After retiring, he spent most of his time watching TV, eating, and then sleeping. Gradually, he lost interest in reading, stopped exercising, and talked less with his family. His daughter noticed he was often moody, slept erratically, and became increasingly quiet. The doctor's diagnosis: he was entering a mild depression due to a lack of mental and physical activity. The problem is not that you have nothing to do, but that you don't create things to do. Once you stop reading, stop writing, stop talking, stop moving, your mind will gradually retreat into silence. You can check for yourself. How long did you walk today? Did you talk to anyone? Did you learn something new? If you do not have an answer, that is a sign you need to start doing something. Not because time is too long, but because your mind needs to be reawakened. Start with small things. Do a few morning stretches, write a few lines in a journal, do some Sudoku puzzles, or simply listen to an unfamiliar piece of music. Anything that makes you think, feel, or move is a way to keep your mind and soul vibrant. Because the scariest part of old age is not the wrinkles, but when you no longer see anything new to look forward to, nothing left to discover, and nothing to connect with each day. And believe me, the moment you restart an active rhythm of life, your spirits will brighten, your heart will be happier, and your eyes will once again sparkle with life. Truth number 5. It is hard to return to work after retiring too early. When I decided to retire early, I told myself, if I want to go back to work later, I'll still have the energy and experience. No problem at all. But the reality was far from what I had imagined. The job market does not stop and wait for anyone. After just 1 year of retirement, I realized I was already behind on new technologies. Terms like task management apps, online collaboration platforms, or office artificial intelligence became foreign to me. And when I tried applying for part-time work, not for the money, but because I missed feeling involved, I received no responses. Many companies are hesitant to hire older people returning to work. They fear you cannot keep up with technology, that you tire easily, or that you'll have trouble fitting in with a young team. Though unsaid, you can feel the skeptical look from the interviewer, as if they are silently asking, "Why do you want to come back to work at this age?" Linda, 66, was a former HR manager. She retired at 60, but after 3 years, she missed the work, missed the feeling of leading a team. She applied for an internal consultant role at a small company, but was rejected because the current workflow requires flexibility across digital platforms she wasn't familiar with. She admitted, "If only I had kept working a few more years, I wouldn't have to start from scratch now." Returning to the workforce after retirement is not easy, even if you are capable, experienced, and sincerely motivated. The longer you are away, the further you fall behind the pace of work. And if you ever thought, "I can go back anytime," think again, because no one can promise you an opportunity like the one before. You can ask yourself, if I wanted to work again next week, what job could I do? Am I still familiar with professional email etiquette? Can I work with younger people? Do I have the stamina for 4-6 hours of work a day? If those questions make you hesitate, perhaps you should be more cautious about the decision to retire completely. If you have not retired, consider part-time or a gradual transition. It helps you stay in the professional rhythm and makes it easier to return if needed. If you have retired and still wish to contribute, start by relearning. Take a new skills class, catch up on industry trends, or volunteer to maintain your organizational and communication skills. Because the biggest regret is not that you retired, but that you retired early, only to realize you still wanted to work, but the door back had become too narrow. Keep yourself ready, not for money, but because your self-worth is still immense. And as long as you want to contribute, you deserve the chance. But that only happens when you do not stray from the current for too long. Early retirement was once my dream, and it might be your wish too. But after stepping into it sooner than planned, I realized not everything you dream of brings fulfillment. I faced 5 truths that no one warned me about while I was working. 1, the feeling of emptiness with no purpose to wake up for each morning. 2, the long-term financial equation is not as easy as imagined. 3, the creeping loneliness from losing daily connections from the work environment. 4, the gradual decline in mental health with less activity. And 5, the door to return to work closing faster than I thought. I am not telling you these things to make you fear retirement. On the contrary, I am telling you so you can be better prepared, so you do not fall into the state of disillusionment that I experienced. Because retiring is not wrong. It's only wrong when you enter it without a direction, without a map. If you are thinking about retiring early, I invite you to take a moment to listen to yourself. Are you financially ready? Do you have a plan for each new day? Do you know in what area you will continue to contribute, however small? And if you have already retired, it is never too late. Because a valuable life journey is not about the age you start, but the attitude you choose each morning. To keep learning, to keep connecting, to keep creating something useful for others and for yourself. I want to invite you to do something simple. Share one thing from this video that resonated most with you, or tell me how you feel after reading this far. Those shares could be a guiding light for someone else who is feeling lost. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so I can continue to join you on your future journeys. Thank you for staying until the end. I hope that your years ahead, whether in retirement or not, will be meaningful, fulfilling, and full of life. See you in the next video.